Reviving the culture and agriculture. Welcome to Planting the Seed if you've just joined in and are listening across the African region on channel PAS10 across the African region, otherwise channelafrica.co.za. So in this hour we are talking freshwater fish farming, aquaphonics, but the novelty about the story is the fact that it is coming to in a township, which is a very novel idea in townships here in South Africa. So that is the story right now. But I think anyone can call themselves a business person, anyone can call themselves an entrepreneur. But what exactly is your talent? So when you call yourself a business person, what is your talent? What are you here to do? Well, my guest this afternoon in studio with me, actually, he's got many talents, but one of them is providing accessible business education that speaks directly to the needs of young people and those that are aspirational in the space of entrepreneurship and business. He's a serial entrepreneur, he's a social entrepreneur, he's a content marketer, and an author of a wonderful, very practical, might I add, book titled Noma Yini. So that would translate to English as no matter what. Okay, so that gives you an indication of just how practical the stuff in the book is. So it is just a pleasure to be in studio with Banele Rewo, who I just described as a serial entrepreneur, social entrepreneur, and just a man of grand purpose in whatever he pursues in business. Also joining him in studio, or joining me in studio rather, is Lufuno Sylvester Mamathuntsha, and we are here to talk about Z2B Eyethu food and beverage company, but also how they have really come into the space of fish farming like no one else has. Gentlemen, good afternoon. Welcome to Channel Africa.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here actually.
It's a pleasure to have you in studio. I was so excited when you both agreed to come in. And I was just telling you off air that I think it's so wonderful to see how well documented your journey in entrepreneurship is. And not only for you, not only for your own story to live online and to document Black history and Black business, but I think for those that are looking up to you, that are looking at the name Banele Rewo and seeing what you've been doing, because you're just so generous with information about the highs and the lows, about the trials and the failures and the successes of your business journey. But that's actually where I want to start for our African audience that may not be familiar with the name Banele Rewo. Talk to me about just your serial entrepreneurship and why you are just so aggressive in the space of entrepreneurship. When did the bug bite?
The bug bit me, I think, 10-15 years ago. And just like average young Black person at the time, we had the option of which, are you going to go to a university, are you going to go to get a job if you can't afford. And luckily I did go to university, but I think I spent like a year in it and I couldn't afford to further my studies at the time. So I then went and got a job. But I knew that is unsustainable. Getting a job is unsustainable because at the end of the day, there's only so much you can reach if you really want to be rich. Like there's only so much that you can, there's only so much that you can actually go up the ladder until you have to have like your PhDs for you to go further, right? So that was the first problem. I'm like, okay, so clearly I'm not gonna be rich with having a job. But most importantly, the serious part of it was when you have a business, right, you always have something to fall back on. So it started as a need to have a side hustle because you'll never know when you're going to be told which your work is terminated, blah, blah, blah. And then the years went on, and then I realized, no, man, as much as I was progressing, I actually took myself back to school. I ended up graduating and I became a professional. I went corporate. I always had a business. I always wanted to start a business on the side, and I always had a business because I believe then, Uti, you have to have like a safety net until the point where you're like, okay, let's really do this. Where business stops being a safety net and becomes a necessity, where you feel good, as in let me really go 100% on it. And that's exactly what I did over the years. And I think I've failed in 11 businesses to this point. And for a long time, when I look back, I thought I was failing, but I was learning.
Yes.
Only when you connect the dots now, because everything that you see now, when you see the me documenting my work, is because I did journalism in school. When you see me doing videos, it's because I had a media agency. When you see me being media trained, it's because I did my own podcast so I could interview people. So what you're seeing now is a culmination of everything that I thought were failures, but they're not. Now it actually makes sense, because now I'm this multi-skilled person who's able to get online and say, guys, let's start a business and let's take it from 0 to 1 million, and let's do it in 24 months. And we did it way before that.
Okay, also a strategist, not just a business person, but I mean, there's a big strategy behind everything that you're doing. And I mean, inspiring doesn't even begin to describe what you've done, because it's been a journey, a long journey, and it still continues.
Yeah.
And I get a sense watching what you've put out online that you are still figuring things out as you go along, but you're not going to let that stop you until you figured everything out. You're going to keep going and learning in that particular way. 12 minutes past 1 p.m. Central African time, in studio with Banele Rewo, as well as Mr. Lufuno Mamathuntsha in studio. And we're going to talk about their business. So before I bring Sylvester into the conversation, I want to find out about the food business, the food and beverage business. I know that there was a time when you really just developed an interest in the meat sector, as it were. So how did that come about?
All right. The food business is called Z2B Food. Z2B Eyethu Food and Beverage. Right. That is a company. It came about. I need to take you back to where we are today. Today is day number 464, if I'm not mistaken, where I went online and said, let's start a business, right? I got online and created a video and said, let's start a business. I don't know what that business is going to be. I don't know who's going to be the market, what we're going to call the business. I don't know. But I'm here online. Join me and let's start a business together, and let's take it from 0 to 1 million. And I said, we're going to start literally from 0, and then we're going to take to 1 million in 24 months. So today is day number 464. So now someone came with an idea, one of the audience members, right, came up with an idea along the way, and then they said, let's do catfish farming. At the time, I did not know what catfish farming is. And then I started doing research, and then I proposed that idea to my community. And so I kept on doing videos, basically just about every day. Like, okay, now we're thinking of catfish. This is catfish farming. This is what we do. Okay. So now, so information starts coming in from different, because this is a community initiative online. So it's all transparent. So when I take a decision that we're doing catfish farming, then you start seeing people doing catfish coming and say, hey, I do catfish, I like it, blah, blah, blah. So now, over the days, I realized that, someone told me about a Sylvester who was sitting right next to me. I didn't know Sylvester. And then Sylvester at the time had, in his backyard, he had like these big giant holes. So he intended to actually do catfish farming, but he was alone.
Right.
So now, I decided, okay, how are we going to find whatever business we're going to start anyways? And then I thought, okay, let's do a stock fair. Stock fair is the best way to actually fundraise, because literally you just take everyone who's been commenting, who's been active in engaging with the content, and say, come and become part of the business, right? Don't just see me doing the work and I know you want part of this. Come in. And then so we set up our Stoffel as a separate entity, which is our little tiny bank, where the company can borrow money from the stokvel without interest. So what's in the benefit for the people that are in the stokvel is that we get to share 60% of the profits that the business is going to do. So now they sit back and just put in little monies every month, and we take this money and then we put it into these initiatives that we're doing. Now, with Sylvester, we went and bought him everything. So it would have taken him 10 years for sure to actually get to the point where he is. But now it took him, like, I don't know, 3-4 months, and then he had everything that he needed. Now, when I looked at the business of agriculture and catfish farming, I realized that at the end, we're going to need to sell this. And catfish is not a popular fish, so a lot of people are unfamiliar with it. So now we're gonna have a problem, because we're gonna have this new innovative idea that's brilliant, that's nice, but it's not gonna sell in the market. So what are we going to do? Are we gonna wait until that time, or a safety net again? Let's create another business that people are going to be familiar with. Right. Hence, we thought, okay, let's open up a meat processing business. Why meat process? Because we're gonna need to process the fish anyways. But while we're waiting for that point, let's process chicken, beef, whatever it is else. Because why? People are familiar with it. Now, what's gonna happen is that when people are buying from us, we're collecting data, because it's not a butchery, it's not a walk-in, it's online. So which means we're gonna collect a lot of data from people, and when we have that data, we can market to these people. We can form a relationship with these people. By the time that we're ready with the fish, these are the very first people that we are going to send our products to. Yeah, so that's exactly. So that's how the meat wholesaling business came. And the brilliant part of it, it's actually sustaining the fish farm. We have not even sold one fish, but we are
already there's cash flow for that particular business.
You know, and this is besides the fact that we have this small bank stock fair. So even if the business was failing in terms of providing resources and money to the farm, there's a stock fell to fall back on. So now we have this cyclical ecosystem of, we have a little smaller bank of our own that we've created, and then we have a business that sells every day. It sells what people expect and what people are familiar with. And then we have this innovative thing that we can stay maybe 10 years. We can pursue it for 10 years, because it's a long game. It's not, we're not trying to get rich tomorrow. You know, it's a long game where we say at some point there's going to be some sort of shortage with fish from the ocean, and before that happens, there's going to be it's going to be priced very high to get it. By the time we get there, you don't want to start then, because you'll be too late. You know what I mean?
Too late.
So we're starting now. By the time that happens, we'll be ready. We would have had all the experience in terms of breeding and farming catfish. And also, it's not even catfish only. There's also tilapia, and there's also, which is very popular. Yeah. And there's also carp, which is also popular. So this is where we are now.
This is fascinating. I think for me, like, I'm just, my brain is really just so fascinated by how you think and your approach to business, because we've always just been taught, I think, also, I mean, I don't have a big business education from high school. You know, you kind of learn these things outside of high school, that, you know, you've got to own the business. It's yours. And we're so precious about our ideas, and we want to own this thing, and it's mine, and everybody else from the outside in. So your approach of community and then let's build a business together is just, I don't hear many people talk like that.
Exactly. Can I add something very critical to what you're saying in terms of starting a business as a community? A lot of entrepreneurs are going through depression, right? They're failing in business. They are turning to substances, and if you go online and then you search business, in most cases you find motivational stuff about motivational content about business, but you'll actually find a lot more people complaining about entrepreneurship and how hard it is. But the problem is that, remember, Wuti, as young Africans, a lot of us don't come from money.
Yes.
You understand? We don't come from money. So which means we do not afford to experiment with different businesses. We can't do that. We need to do something and be sure about it. That's why we tend to gravitate to similar businesses where
And
like,
there's
I'm going to
lots
open
of
a...
pressure as well about other
Correct.
things as well.
You know what I mean? So now, we forgot ukuthi we've always done izinto as a group. As Africans, that's what we do. Like, that is really our core. So it's not surprising to see how many young people are struggling out there and going through mental breakdowns because they are trying to do a business alone. And the reason, there's another reason why there's a challenge with doing a business with a lot of people. It's because obviously there's going to be challenges in terms of direction, whatnot. So how we structured it was like, Stockfella is one side. That's what it does. They don't come in and say, we think we should do this strategically. No, their role is as simple as investors. Think of them as what you'd call silent investors.
Thank you very much for staying with us on Channel Africa as we bring you all things agricultural programming on planting the seed until 2 p.m. Central African time. In studio with Manele Rewo, who is a serial entrepreneur, a social entrepreneur, an author, and the founder of Z2B Eyethu Food and Beverage Company. So he's in studio. I mean, we just tracked the journey of the mentality of business. So this very quickly became a conversation about how to start a business if you want to be successful in any sector. If you were able to pick up some pointers there, you can definitely benefit regardless of where you are on your journey. But he's also joined by his partner Lufuno Sylvester Mamathuntsha, and they together came as a community and started a catfishing and aquaphonics project, I'd like to think it is, which is fast becoming a business. Sylvester.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, good afternoon. Very interesting that you would think, I think that's where I want to start with your journey in terms of, I mean, just who you are and also your interest in aquaphonics in general.
Just to start, just to take it back a little bit, I was born in Venda, in Limpopo, and I started loving fish from way back when I was still very young. My dad loved fishing a lot, so he used to take me fishing. And fast track that, and he ended up actually buying a land. I think that was 1992, 1994. I think they bought that land for like 5 rand or 10 rand or so. And when I was growing, his idea was to start fish farming.
Okay.
And since today, he never started it. But the farm is still there. So when I passed varsity and then I started my first job, bought my first car, I was like, let me buy my own fishing stuff, because I was fishing with his stuff. Then I started going fishing alone, started to explore fishing myself. Then I ended up, because I was so good in it, and then I had a lot of white friends. Then they were like, Sylvester, why don't you, because you are catching fish using your own products, why don't you formalize it and make baits and then you sell to us? Then I went and registered a company called Emperor Cup Baits. That's where we're making fish baits. And then started selling, few shops started to buy those products. Then I was like, okay, no, that's good. Then after that I was like, but I still want to do fish farming. How am I going to do it? Because by that time I was staying in a place, I was renting a house. It has so much small space. I can only fit an IBC tank, like 1,000-liter tank on the back. I was like, how am I going to put my filters here? It's not going to work.
Wow. Yeah.
Then I started praying, because I'm a very praying person. I started praying and asking God to, like, in 2-3 years down the line, I want to buy my own apartment. And God, please give me, I want a big yard. I used to pray that for 3 years, meditating it every single day. Then Cosmopolitan came, Protead Land, they were selling land. Boom, they give me like a 200 square meters yard.
By mistake.
By mistake.
That's
Such
interesting.
a big yard in Soweto. You cannot find a stand big like that in Soweto. You cannot. So then I like, okay, now my dream, I can see my dream now. Then I started digging ponds on the backyard.
Okay.
My wife, she thought I'm crazy. This other day she came back from and she's like, what the hell are you doing?
You have to be a little bit delusional to start.
I was like,
you can't be rational.
I'm digging fish ponds.
Yeah.
Then I started digging the first pond, the second pond, and I was stuck. And I was like, I need the plastic, the dam liner, so expensive. So I'm taking my kids' money here. And then I'm gonna have a serious fight with my wife now.
Yeah.
Then it took me like 3 months to buy one product. Like if I wanna buy a pump, I have to save for 2-3 months down the line to buy one item. Then one LA still owe me, haven't even told me who is his associate who gave him my pictures for him to find me. Then boom, somebody sent me his post on Twitter and TikTok. My man, Sylvester, this is your backyard news. And then this guy's talking about you. I was like, ngishayisa ngumoya, awuzongithola if angifuna uzongithola. Sharp. And then we met, we reached out, and then the collaboration just started from there. And then we started, the first day that he came to me, he was like, you know what, I have been doing research, but the stuff that you are telling me, I think it's better we stop here, because this is too much information. So because I'm onto fishing industry in South Africa, I fish for the national teams as well, and then fishing national teams, and then I'm also I'm representing Eden. It's down in the Eastern Cape, but my team is situated in Joburg. So there's a lot of things which is happening there. But we just started doing the fish farming, and then the stock fell on the side one level. Already told you about that. And then they just they seeded into the project, and then I saw the first pond going live, and then after that the filters, all the ponds is 6 meter by 10 meter each. Then maximum, if you're actually filtrating the water, oxygenating the water, you can have 7,500 fish in one pond. So if it's 2 ponds, you're looking at about 17,000 fish. And then if you are selling one fish for 100 rand, it's over a 2 million turnover within 7 months.
From a backyard.
From a backyard.
In Soweto.
In Kasi, like you saw it.
I think, yeah, I think, just for perspective, for people that actually don't know, thank you for giving us perspective in terms of, the difficulty of finding space in a township like Soweto. There's very small space to start anything.
Yes.
But you prayed hard. There's definitely power in that. And you were able to find enough space to at least start a few ponds. How many ponds do you have?
I have 2 ponds.
So 2 ponds, and they are income generating ponds at the moment.
Yeah.
I'm interested in why catfish, because Banele did say that it's not very popular here in South Africa. We were actually talking about it with the team. Some of them didn't know what catfish is.
Yes.
What is that? And I had to explain that it's actually very popular in West Africa. The African Americans love it as well.
Yes.
Sunday, fried, and what.
Yes.
So bringing that into the South African market, why did you decide to do that instead of going for the regular hakes and whatever that?
I think if you can look back, a catfish, it's one of the fish that has a fillet, a very nice fillet, and then you are looking at it as a very high omega-3 when it comes to your proteins. So it's a fish that can feed the nation, and then it's an affordable fish.
Okay.
If you can start talking about your trout, your salmon, just a fillet, you're looking at about 300 rand to 400, just only a fillet. But the whole catfish, 1 kilogram, you can get it for 87 rands, 90 rands. Then one kg catfish can feed a family of 2 or 3. Then in that low budget, and then it's full of protein, which is needed for your daily survival. So, and then it's a fish that actually adapts into our South African weather as well.
Okay.
So it's easy to grow. It can it can be cold, it can be hot. It's still fine. It's not like a tilapia. Tilapia, you actually really need to check your water temperature every single day, in the morning, in the evening. Your temperature should be constant between roughly 26 and 28, 29. Anything above that, fish start to stress. Anything below that, they can actually even die. So there's a lot of people who actually want to start fish farming, but I always tell them, I know you can have money to start this, but take a seat back, relax. I'm starting it. I'll give us an opportunity to document all these things. Let me fail. I don't want to see you failing. Let me fail, have all the information. Yes, yes.
That's what we
Yeah.
do.
Let us fail. Then after that, we will be able to give you a well documented booklet or a knowledge, so that you don't fail. Because we want, at the end of the day, whoever will supply like a fingerlings to them, they will actually even supply. We'll be taking all the fish from them and then into the Eyethu business and sell. Take all the stuff from them.
To add on to that, we are doing ponds because we have the benefit of space. That's why we're doing ponds.
Right.
You can do catfish farming using IBF,
Tanks.
right? IB tanks which hold 10,000. It's just that I can't describe it, but it's basically a water tank. It's a water storage tank, and you can have how many in the tank?
You're looking at roughly. Remember, we have got the IBC tank, the one that the flow beans want.
Yeah,
that's
the
a
flow
1,000-liter tank.
1,000
And then it's on a 1,000-liter tank. You can have 100 fish inside.
Okay.
So in a garage space, you
In a
can
garage
have
space, exactly.
like maybe 5 or 10 tanks inside,
Yes.
and then you build your own. We build you like a small filtration, just to filter out your ammonium so that you don't hurt your fish. And then you have got how many thousand? If you've got 10 of them, you've got 1,000 fish.
Correct. So now that speaks to the smallness of space, because the smaller the space, the less the tanks you have.
Right.
So you can basically do it in a typical, if you can imagine a bedroom in a typical apartment in Jozi, you can have 5 of these things, which means you can have 5,000 fish. And the water is circulating, right? You basically recirculate the water. So which means you do not need the first input would be the water and then the fish, and then literally because this is freshwater fish. So the difference between yon and hake is that hake is finite. It's in the ocean. It's wild. It's not farmed. So at some point one day it's gonna end. And then in South Africa we have not explored a catfish because we've been basically living very rich, basically. You know, we have not gone to a point where we're like, now we can't afford a chicken. And remember, there was a situation like about bird flu. They keep on happening again and again. And beef is very expensive. So now, if you can imagine, at some point, one day, there's going to be bird flu. We're not going to be able to afford a fish from the ocean. We're not going to be able to afford a beef. So what are we going to fall back on? So now we are positioning ourselves to have a sustainable business that provides services that are needed, and then it makes that profitable. But we're just betting on this thing. We're betting on it. We can do this for the next 20 years. We don't need to make it sustainable. And the brilliant part of it is it's going to take us that long to educate South Africans. Which, guys, there's something else. There is this other fish. There is this other source of protein. Yeah, so that's what we're doing. That's why it's a long game that we're playing. Now, in the long game, we're not going to be going through the stresses. This thing is not selling. You know what I mean? Because we have a business that is functional, that is doing all of that. The main thing for here, on this other business, the catfish one, is just to constantly educate our people, introduce it to them. Even if we have to run on losses, we can afford to run losses, maybe for say 10 years, where we actually sell it under what it costs for us to do.
And what it out there.
Correct. Yeah. What we're doing is not new. Amazon did the same thing. Facebook did the same thing, where they operate for about 7-10 years without earning any money. But by the time that it catches on that, no, this business is now a need, we're already there. So that's where we are.
You know, this is a business that just is solving so many problems. You're already thinking ahead at issues of food security in South Africa. You're thinking about, other people that could bring their own skills into the space of aquaphonics. You're solving problems of unemployment. You're teaching people about aquaphonics. The township is a big place, and we don't just have one township in South Africa. We've got Khayelitsha, we've got Tembisa, there are many townships, and a lot of people will be able to learn from your story, as you said, Sylvester. I mean, there could be a big project to teach people about aquaphonics around the country and turn it into something wild and wonderful. So just on that note, I mean, where is the business currently? I mean, I feel like people are starting to, there's sparks of it. You know, I mean, I caught the story. I know there's several other spaces that have caught on to this fish farming in the township, you know, which is such a novel idea. So in the short term, what are you looking at doing in the current space?
Currently, our meat business, our stockfell is good. It's healthy. Starts there, and then comes to the meat wholesaling business where we sell familiar products, beef, chicken, etc.
And you're working with other suppliers for that as well.
Yeah, we're basically supplying also your restaurants, even if it's hospitals, prisons. We're also going to look towards that. But basically, we are providing bulk service, right? So that in itself, the business is broken even. So which means we're not making money, we're not losing money. It's good. Now, what's happening with the money that's collected in the stockfile is just staying there and accumulating and earning interest, right? And then now we come to our fish business. When we come to our fish business, is our main thing is we are learning, and we're going to show you all the mistakes that we're making, and you can come to us and learn. So you get online and then you see, we tell you, well, we tried this failed, and now you're learning from it, right? Now, that business, where it is, we don't measure it by the income it brings. We don't worry about it. We measure it with how many people are getting exposed to the aquaponics part of the business. How many people are asking us, can you please help me? How do I start this? And then we have online resources, and even government came to us and gave us a lot of resources for funding, for how-to guides, which departments are relevant in what stage of a business. And that's perfectly where the business should be, because we don't want to be the only ones doing it. We want to build a network of other people that are learning from us for free, and then when we have a lot of suppliers and a lot of startups that are doing this, that's when we're going to say, after 10 years, we can say that we are not the only ones that were pushing the agenda of let's introduce this kind of species of meat, right? So it now becomes a very big initiative where it's going to be easy for people to actually convince other people to, hey, have you tried Catfish? Because Okwamanje is just us.
Yes.
Who are doing it. But if we work together, it's just us, but there's also other.
Build a network.
We want to build a network of people that are gonna say, okay, let me start this, because I can start in my backyard. I'm creating myself employment. It answers the food security just for the community. And remember, with aquaponics, what aquaponics is, it is the please explain.
Aquaponics, I know that there's someone asking out there, what is aquaponics? Then aquaponics, it's farming fish and produce vegetables in a soilless environment. If I can explain it in short, here's my pond. I have got filtration going on. I've got my filters. I'm pumping water out of the pond into the filters. Why am I pumping out the water? Because when you feed fish, they secrete waste in the water, and they urinate as well in the same water. So those two agents in the water, they form ammonium in the water, which ammonium is become deadly to the fish. If it becomes overboard, they will just die. You just wake up in the morning and find all your fish floating.
Poisonous.
Yeah, dead. So pumping out the water, you're actually also pumping out the solids, with ammonium into your filter. You are filtering, and then between the filters there is a filter called a biofilter. That's where there is a bacteria called nitrobacter. It develops by itself, and then it converts your ammonium into nitrates, nitrates into nitrite. So which means nitrite becomes a nutrient for the veggies.
Wow.
So before we pump out water from the filters back into the pond, the water is rechanneled into our pipes. You can have pipes, you drill holes, and then you put all your veggies inside, lettuce and everything, and tomatoes. Now we've got tomatoes as well. They've been growing there. And then we've got peppers. They've been growing, big peppers, onions. You can name them, anything. So we've put spinach not long, it's growing. We've put also that chomolia veg, it's growing in there. So literally anything can grow there. But something magic happened when you actually pumping the water through the pipes, and it can be deep water culture. Some companies that do big deep water cultures, and then when the veggies are actually eating nutrients directly from the water without soil, they are actually cleaning even more water and oxygenating your water, and then they're cleaning the water for the fish, oxygenating water for the fish, and then that water gets on the other end of the pipe, and then from the other side of the pipe, and then back into the pond. So it becomes an ecosystem that consistently 24 hours.
So aquaculture and agriculture,
it's aquaculture and hydroponics mixed together. That's why they call it aquaponics.
Yes. Okay. So it's not just
two businesses.
Yes,
in
not just
one.
one.
Yes, with one.
So one can do only aquaculture, which is only fish farming. And then some, they can say, I want to do hydroponics, I don't want fish, I want to do hydroponics. And then now, which means you need to buy nutrients in a liquid form. And then you channel your water into the pipes, and then without soil. But now we have got a fish. Why don't you have an aquaponics system?
How do we feed our fish? It's because, remember, we have a meat processing plant. So Eyethu is always offcuts.
Yes.
So when you cut the meat, it generates those offcuts, and then we put it in.
I can't.
And then we put it into the water and mix it up with our nutrients. And if you're aware, with any agricultural project, the most, in most cases, the most expensive part is the feed. So we don't worry about feed, because when we cut the meat to sell it, we generate that waste, and then we convert it, put it into the water for the fish. The fish generate waste, feed the crops, same. Kanjalo.
Done.
Yeah.
Drops mic. This is amazing. Okay, so we've run out of time. I really wanted to continue, but I want to talk just a few minutes about Noma Yini, which I think soon will be a trilogy. Noma Yini, Noma Muphi, Noma Nanjani. Like this, it's a full-on trilogy. But talk to me about what's in that book, and because I think that's actually the big idea behind the Banelerewo brand, as it were, in the space of entrepreneurship. What's in that book that can benefit people in agriculture or whatever fraternity?
The book practically teaches you how to think about business, because before you even start business, a lot of people are going through, like I said, depression. It's because they go into business without having preparedness for it. We need to prepare for it. So it will show you how to maybe, let's say, speak to people around you. Is it parents? Is it a partner? Is it your children? How do you speak to them and tell them that you're going to stop working? You're going to go try business. Now, when you do that, what are the challenges that you're going to meet? How are you going to introduce yourself when you want funding? You know, a lot of people just approach you and say, can I please be your mentor? But what is mentorship? Because you're asking for someone to give you time, give you their energy, and you don't give them anything back. And basically, they're working for you. It's such things that I give you perspective that if you ask someone to be your mentor, you are essentially asking them to be your employee. But how do you do it? You know, simple example would be, look, I know, Uguti, you have a business and it is meat, it is fish farming, for example. And then you say, you know what, I'm offering to clean your pond. Just teach me how to clean the pond. You're not asking for anything. You just say, I just want to clean the pond because you know that is a service that I need. You're not charging it, you're not doing anything. From then on, you start giving me value, and then you start hanging around me a lot more, then mentorship happens. So it's such things that there's so many ways of doing it, right?
Got to be smart about mentorship.
We
It
have
can't
to
be
be.
mentorship for the sake of it. Yeah.
Correct. So there's also other aspects. Selling, I make those example, and then a young person reading the book. It's very important, Uti, when they have the right mentality and they have a perspective on how to see business, then they will do something like this, because I said, this is the mentality to it. You did not believe me. I'm like, okay, let me start a business. I'll show you. And I'll take it from 0 to 1 million, and I'll do it 24 months. Here it is. Here it is. So just get the book here, because it's proof.
Yes. Where can we find the book?
The book is on banelereo.co.za. Just you can search me also on social media, Banele Reo, on all social medias. And when you see me, you're gonna see Sylvester, because I share his content also. And so on banelereo.co.za, there's also content for mental health for men. Right? 100%. So it's not just to go to, hey man, let's talk about the book. No, let's look at you into your mental health. You can't run a business when you do not understand the importance of exercise, the importance of when should you be in a relationship. We take that for granted for young men. They think, well, I'm in my 20s, I have to be in a relationship, but are you financially in a position to be in a relationship? How can you decide, Uguti, should I pursue a relationship or should I pursue my dreams? All of that information is within my website, and the book then takes you on a journey in terms of if you want to go the route, your business. But all the other mental health information is there. I will connect you to other money where you can get down the route of addiction, drug abuse. So it's just a whole resource it's dedicated for young men. I believe, Uti, if we focus on the young men, then we really start to begin and heal the nation, because less abuse, etc. So banelereo.co.za, on socials, banelereo.co.za, banelereo,
Okay, this is amazing. I have to big you up on just your big vision and your holistic approach to business. I mean, the mental health, the how to build the community. It's all just it's a very healthy vision that you've got, and I think so many people can benefit from learning from you, because I think you're a teacher at heart.
I've accepted that at some point.
You're just here to just show the world a different thing. And I think in this culture that we're in, we really people go online to search how to something.
Yes,
they don't go there to look at pretty pictures. They want to learn stuff. So I think you're doing your service to humanity is so big. Gentlemen, thank you so much. You've already told us where we can find you. Where can we find you, Sylvester?
I'm on TikTok, just Sylvester, and then also on Facebook, Sylvester MET Tech.
It can't be Sylvester only. How many Sylvesters are there on TikTok?
Exactly.
You have to be sure. Sylvester one.
233.
Sylvester 233.
Yeah,
Sylvester
that's me.
233.
Yeah.
But I think if you say Sylvester,
or if you go to TikTok and say fish farming in South Africa, I'm the first guy who comes on. Boom, I'm there. I'm there.
I love it for you.
So the last thing that I want to say is we have got roughly 2 or 3 veggies that you use every single day at home. It's your tomato, your onion, and your peppers. With this system, aquaponics system, every single morning, I'm going to have my tomatoes, my lettuce, my green pepper, my onions on my backyard. So while you are waiting for 6 months for your fish to be ready for market, I mean, every single day, you are picking up your veggies.
Okay, guys, thank you so much. We've run out of time. 6 minutes to go till it's 2 p.m. We've got Africa at Play coming through in just a bit. Stay tuned.